Hello there, it's Environmental Educator Emily with Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust. Today I am back in West Meadow. I am exploring the Pine Barren area that I talked about briefly in past videos, and I'm specifically looking at the pitch pines here that we have, which is this pine right behind me. This plant is special because over time it has become adapted to fire. The easiest way to ID a pitch pine in New England is to look at the leaf bundles. Pitch pines have bundles of 3, as opposed to white pine, which can grow in similar areas, which have a bundle, actually right next door here, of 5. Although not as apparent in this little pitch pine, this species has very thick bark, and that's the first defense and protection from fire. They also have dormant buds along the branches, the trunk, that can sprout new branches and new leaf clusters if part of the plant is damaged. Invisible to us, but underground, there is a strong root system, including a taproot, that allows this tree to hold on fast to the ground in fire conditions that can also accompany strong winds. This also helps it survive in these often acidic habitats that it chooses to make its home. Lastly, their cones and therefore seeds will often drop and wait patiently in the seed bank, which is typically in reference to that first layer of soil that holds seeds until they're ready to begin to grow in oftentimes the growing season, but in the pitch pine's case, they'll wait for extreme conditions like the fire to finally open up and release their cones, and these seedlings will thrive in this barren acidic habitat left behind by a fire. Because of issues like climate change, we don't get small forest fires the way we used to in certain areas. This also is impacted by how humans restrict these smaller fires. Because of these restrictions, a lot of this leaf litter can build up over time, and that's what we're kind of seeing happening in places like California, where this litter that typically gets burned off in these small fires in areas such as this, it builds up, and then when a fire, accidental one, typically hits that area, you get these massive fires, which aren't good for any species, including the pitch pine, because these fires burn too hot, and therefore their ecological processes aren't able to happen. Here we have a depiction of a fire-suppressed forest. In this case, there has been no small fires to limit the amount of growth, and it hasn't been ecologically managed by humans either. Because of this, we see an increased amount of leaf litter on the ground. We have a lot of plants in the understory, the middle story, and the overstory. Now say someone comes in and leaves a campfire unattended in a habitat such as this one. The fire catches quickly to the buildup of leaf litter on the forest floor and quickly begins to dominate the understory as well. This buildup of leaf litter begins to act as fuel for the fire and causes it to grow hot and fast. It is not long before the fire begins to climb up to the middle story of the forest. Unfortunately, the old-growth trees in this forest that make up the overstory aren't spared either. As the fire climbs, they light as well. Not only are these megafires dangerous for humans and animals, they also run too hot for the pitch pines to reproduce. This leaves us with a barren landscape after the fire finally subsides. Here we have a picture of an ecologically managed forest. There's a lot of gaps and significantly less leaf litter. As you can see, we have plants in the understory and overstory and have a significantly smaller middle story. Now imagine if one of the trees in this ecosystem is struck by lightning and a fire starts. The leaf litter and the understory do light, but it's not nearly as hot as in the fire-suppressed forest because there's not enough leaf litter to fuel a strong wildfire. Some of the overstory might light as well, but because of the lack of the middle story, it's less than in the fire-suppressed habitat. Gaps in the forest also hinder the fire's spread. This fire is the right temperature to trigger the pitch pine cones to release their seeds in the seed bank. After the fire, many of the trees in the understory will die, but this is all part of an ecological process. The same fire that had just thinned out the forest and killed some pitch pines has actually sparked more to grow. Thank you so much for joining me again in what is one of my favorite natural areas in Lowell. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, it was a bit of a complicated video. Feel free to put your questions or comments in the comment section or chat below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.